CJAD 800 Real Estate Show. I haven't sat in this chair for a while, filling in for Chantal Desjardins, who's on vacation. And across the table from me, of course, as always, is Terry Kilakos, who's president of Northeast Mortgages and chartered mortgage broker. Hello, Terry.
Hey, Dan. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I miss you on the real estate show.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you. But I'm always here for you.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But Chantal absolutely does a great job. She's traveling, is she?
She is. She's in Bali.
Bali?
Bali? Is she in Bali? Yeah.
You didn't want to do this live from Bali?
I thought about it.
Yeah.
But, the cost just would have been a little too...
Come on, you and Chantal sipping pina coladas on a beach terrace somewhere talking about real estate and mortgage?
It could have been fun. It could have been fun.
Okay. Of course, now I know that last week you started to talk about the mortgage financing triangle.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into a little bit about that again today. But I know, Terry, you wanted to talk a little bit more. You wanted to do a little bit of a market update.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much that's gone on this week. The big news, I mean, we've been talking about the new mortgage rule changes that are coming into effect December 31st. What that is actually causing is it's causing the market to really heat up right now. So people that were thinking about buying a house next year, so January, February, March, April, whatever, they're actually scrambling right now to go and buy houses. Mm-hmm. So it's causing, especially on houses that are priced between $300,000 to about $450,000, there's this crazy rush. There's not a lot of inventory. Houses are going over asking price in a lot of instances, and people are just scouring, like they're looking in the market for deals, but there's not a lot, so it's heating up the market. So
in a way, it's a good time to buy before the changes come into effect, but not a great thing because they're going to make hasty decisions.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. The best advice that I could give people again is you just got to get pre-qualified. Sit down with someone, whether it's a mortgage broker or a mortgage broker. It should always be a mortgage broker. Sit down with a mortgage broker, whether it's us or someone else, and just get yourself pre-qualified. Make sure you know what you're able to borrow. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, you want to look at it and say, if I don't buy right now, so if I don't make it to that December 31st deadline, what is my buying power going to be next year? Yeah. And once you're armed with that information, you're good to go. I had a conversation with a client yesterday who had gone to see a house, and unfortunately, there was an offer that came in as they were visiting the property, so they end up losing. Mm-hmm. They lose their chance to get that place. But after speaking with them, they realized that the new mortgage rules that are coming into effect don't really impact them all that much because they had the income to support the house that they wanted to buy. Yeah. So, and they were a lot more relaxed, and now they can wait till January, February, or whenever.
Okay, so that's what it basically comes down to is, as you say, get your pre-approval now, go see a mortgage broker now.
Exactly.
But you don't necessarily have to run out there and buy something right now.
Yeah, and the other thing that's important to understand is a pre-approval in itself. So let's say, you want to fall under the old rules. A pre-approval in itself is not going to necessarily secure your purchase. What you want to do is, if you make an offer right now, but you only want to move in March, that's fine. As long as the contracts are signed prior to December 31st and your mortgage is approved prior to December 31st, you're good to go. Mm-hmm. You're going to fall under the old rules. Past that, you fall under the new rules, and you just got to make sure you qualify. That's it.
Is that something that's good advice in general, no matter what's going on with in the world of mortgaging? If you say, well, I'm not really looking to move or to even buy a house, but let me just go find out what I would be capable of if.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And not only that, but you also want to make sure if you end up listing your house, you want to make sure that that upgrade that you were thinking about getting, will you actually qualify for that upgrade?
Yeah.
Right? Because we've seen that happen as well, where people are going to list their houses thinking that they're going to be able to take that money and go buy something else. But because of the rule changes that happened last year, and now with the new rule changes that are coming in, they don't qualify.
Okay.
So it ends up putting them in a really nasty situation where they're selling a house that they really love, and they're not able to upgrade that house. Mm-hmm. Right.
It's the Real Estate Show on CJAD. I'm Dan Laxer in for Chantal Desjardins. Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages and chartered mortgage broker. And in case you haven't figured it out already, we're on Facebook Live right now.
Yes, absolutely.
So if our listeners want to go and see what we look like, they should go to...
So they can go on my Facebook page,
Okay.
right? So facebook.com/Terry Kilakos.
Yeah.
You'll be able to find it if you can't spell it. You can always go to northeastmortgages.ca as well. And under our media section, there's actually our YouTube videos are there. So a lot of times the shows will be there.
Okay. And of course, you can absolutely phone in to ask your questions, 514-790-0800, 1-800-491-CJD, long distance toll free. Cell, I forget the number, star 8255. It's been a long time. And they can also ask questions online.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, definitely. And that actually means that I have to open my Facebook Live, which I haven't gotten there yet. And I'm getting there now.
We'll get there. We're sort of starting off the show and getting things ready.
That's it.
Now, last week, you and Chantal started to discuss the mortgage financing triangle, which we've discussed before. Before we go on to element number 2, can we just discuss a little bit what the triangle is in general?
Yeah. So for those that have been hearing us on the air, Dan, from the previous shows, they know that whenever I talk about mortgages, I always talk about the 3 elements that are required whenever you apply for a mortgage, right? And the 3 elements are credit, income, and equity. So those are the 3 main things that the banks are going to look at to determine whether or not you'll actually qualify for a mortgage or not. When we're looking at the 3 elements, it's a balancing act between the 3 of them. So if your credit is weak, for example, the other 2 sides are going to have to make up for it. If your equity is weak, the credit and income side has to make up for it. If your income is weak, the equity and the credit has to make up for it.
So that it all balances out.
Exactly. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you have almost no income, right? You're earning $1 per year. I don't know who earns $1 per year, but I've seen it. Okay.
Sure.
In a case like that, if you have, for example, 50% loan to value, right, which is what we're going to be talking about today, what that loan to value means. So if you have good equity in your property and your credit is above 700, which we talked about last time, credit scores range from 300 to 900.
Yep.
If your credit score is above a certain amount, you'll be able to qualify for that mortgage, sometimes at a little bit of a higher interest rate, but you'll get the financing for it.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of how your credit and your equity will compensate for your income.
And that's something that we've touched on before, and I know you want to discuss it maybe on another show, but when all your ducks are in order, you don't really need to worry that much about the rate.
Exactly.
Because everybody thinks that we got to get a good rate, right?
At the end of the day, rate is important, but we can't lose perspective also.
Yeah.
5 or 10 basis points on a mortgage is basically a cup of coffee per month. And you say, well, I'd rather have that cup of coffee. But if it means that you're setting up a mortgage that's restricted, or if you're setting up a mortgage that's not right for your situation, you're going to be in a world of hurt later on. You'll have high penalties. You might be dealing with a lender that you don't want to necessarily be dealing with. There's a whole plethora of things. My philosophy is rate is important, but it falls kind of like 4th or 5th in the hierarchy of what's actually important. So you want to make sure that the mortgage is properly set up. You want to make sure that you're dealing with a lender that's actually solid. And you want to make sure that at the end of the day, you're going to be in a good position to be able to refinance if you need to be able to sell without having to incur crazy penalties.
Okay, excellent. We're going to talk a little bit more of that, and we'll get into what we mean by equity. That's what we're going to focus on today. Equity, and your questions for Terry Kilakos at 514-790-0800. Star Talk, star 8255, free on Bell Mobility. You can text in as well, and also Facebook Live. It's 1:15, and we'll get into the CJAD 800 Traffic Center. There's Kira Yeager.
And there is barely any congestion out there right now. I'm only seeing a slight amount of volume right now at the top end of Décarie North. Metropolitan East and West are moving. Over on Décarie South, you are moving. Just remember that Décarie South and 20 East ramps onto eastbound Ville-Marie are shut down. They reopen tomorrow morning. The De La Vérendrye entrance on...
I don't know what that means.
Well,
the lovely Mirev has pointed at me to see, what we're doing is we're doing the CJAD Real Estate Show with Terry Kilakos, and he's gone down the hall to get his coffee. I already have my coffee, brought to me by Walter and Leland earlier. I'm just worried that between here and the he's going to break something, because he always does. But we're talking about real estate. We're going to talk about equity, which is one of the elements of the mortgage financing triangle. And geez, I'm all uncomfortable. I'm great on the radio. I feel like I need to tap dance or something. You can take your calls and questions online. And ladies and gentlemen, the lovely and talented Mayor of Marciano, who is you're like vice president of something.
Yes. Oh, sorry, I took your spot. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, that was so close. I actually prepared my coffee and I forgot it at the coffee machine.
But look at it now. You have to stir it. It's 2 colors.
No, it's good.
What do you mean it's good?
It's a cappuccino.
Why is the cream on the bottom? Or the foam?
It's the way the machine makes it.
With powdered milk.
I don't know, is it? You think?
Yeah. It's a machine. What do you think? There's a little guy inside? A little, what do they call them?
A little barista?
Or a little barista inside named Luigi, and you...
Okay, why the Italian? Why does it have to be
Because it's
Italian?
cappuccino.
Yeah, I guess so.
Right?
Yeah. A cappuccino?
Yeah. Cappuccino.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. The coffee cups are very hard to come by, so I actually brought one from home.
I was going to ask where you got that fancy pants cup.
Last week I actually took one from Robin Flynn.
Oh.
Sorry, Robin.
Did you give it back?
I did. I washed it, put it back on her desk. With a little post-it note, I used your coffee cup.
Did you say you washed it? Because I'm wondering, oh no, Terry Kilakos used my cup. Do we have a washing machine? And we do.
Downstairs.
Downstairs, yeah.
This is true. That's true. So did you tell him any jokes?
I didn't tell any jokes. I promoted the show. I didn't tell any jokes.
No?
I'm rather... People are watching this going, wow, Dan thinks he's funny? No, I...
Like, why did the big house... What did the big house say to the little house?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Isn't it the little chimney to the big chimney?
Yes.
Or something like
You're
that?
too... Yeah,
So you're too young to smoke?
Exactly. There you go. Remember those jokes that would be in the kid
I think you
books?
guys
I
are
had
back on
lots
the
of
air.
those.
Are we back on the air? We're not back on the
No,
air.
it's still a commercial.
Yeah.
It's like, what did the big firecracker say to the little firecracker?
What?
My pop is bigger than your pop.
Okay, jokes are not our forte here.
No.
Yeah.
There has to be like a whole thing there, like real estate jokes.
I'm
Jokes.
sure we could find some. Yeah. I'm sure we could find some. Dan, but you're doing the comedy show.
Yeah.
Shouldn't some of the comedy like spill over? Like
No, I
some
change
show-
hats. Now,
You're wearing your real estate.
I don't really. You're wearing a hat. I'm not. But I change hats. See, 9 to noon I was trivia guy. Noon to 1 I was comedy guy. Now I'm real estate mortgaging. Well, you're a real estate mortgaging guy. I'm just the spokesmodel.
You're the looks.
Yeah,
I'm the brains.
the brains and the money. David Simon over there at Real Estate Control, by the way. He has no clue.
Just don't ask him to do toot-toot-toot.
What? Oh yeah, you and Chantel did that last week.
Yeah.
What was it for?
Our trivia.
800 presents The Real Estate Show with Dan Laxer and Terry Kilakos. Brought to you by Northeast Mortgages.
With Dan Laxer being a Chantal Desjardins in Bali. Terry Kilakos is here. He's president of Northeast Mortgages and a chartered mortgage broker. And as we were saying before the break, we want to go ahead and talk about, we're looking at the different elements of the mortgage financing triangle. Last week was credit. Today we're going to talk about equity. But before we get into equity, Ray's been waiting on the line for a little while, so why don't we go ahead and hit up the calls. Hi there, Ray. Welcome to CJAD.
Hey, Ray.
Hiya, Dan. Hiya, Terry.
Hey there.
A little bit of a bad news this week.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
My mom's been living in this house. She's been renting, by the way,
Okay.
for almost 70 years.
Wow.
The whole family grew up here, a family of 9,
Unbelievable. Yeah.
on the South Shore in St. Hubert.
Mm-hmm.
Now, probably, as you know, there's companies going around buying up properties hand over fist to build apartment blocks and condos.
Yep.
And it's happening in this area almost every 5th house.
Yeah, I
Now,
see where this is
we were
going.
approached in August by a man going door to door saying he was buying up properties. And he knew that my mom wasn't the owner here, but he said, you talk to the owner and get him to sell the house. So then we had that in agreement with the owner because my mom knows the owner very, very well.
Okay.
And he said, I'll never sell this house as long as you're alive. My mom lives alone. I live with her now to take care of her. But last week on Wednesday, we were called by the owner's son.
Okay.
And said that the company went to him 5 or 6 times between August and now to buy the house, and the owner completely said no. But they went to the city, so we were told. They went to the city and got an expropriation. Is this legal?
Okay, so you have to keep something in mind. Expropriation, I mean, obviously does exist. There is, especially when we're talking about developments and, if you have vacant land and things like that, it can occur and it does occur.
Yeah.
The thing is that your mother obviously is a tenant and she has rights. So the best person to actually be speaking to about this is obviously going to be the Régie de Logement.
Okay.
The Régie de Logement, which you can Google them, you'll find them. They actually have a helpline, which you can, as a tenant, you can speak to them, and they're going to give you information.
Right.
Your mother is going to have to be bought out of her lease. They can't just basically say, well, we're taking over this property. And I'll give you an example. Let's say, I buy a building, I buy a duplex or I buy a triplex, and I want to move into it.
Right.
As the new owner. The whole thing is rented. I could choose one of the units and I can actually move into it.
Or your family.
Or my family, exactly, immediate family. When it's a company that's buying it, it's a very different. It's very different. You can't really do that. Okay, so I have properties that are in companies, and I can't all of a sudden go into one of the units and say, hey, by the way, I'm taking over this unit to put in my Uncle Bob or my sister or something. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So in a situation like this, the best person to speak to is the Régie de Logement. They're going to tell you what to do. My suspicion is going to be there's going to have to be a case. It has to be an urgent case because obviously if they're grabbing the properties, you want to make sure that...
Sorry, Terry, they've already bought the property next door.
Okay.
To the left and the property to the right.
They're gonna have to buy her out, and they're gonna have to compensate her for the troubles that moving expenses. Rent,
the landlord.
all that stuff.
We talked to the landlord on Thursday.
Okay.
And he said there's no rent to be paid until the end of March. She has to be out by the end of March.
What do you mean there's no rent to be paid until the end of March?
He said there's no rent to be paid.
No.
That's the agreement I guess he came to.
No, don't agree to that.
No?
No, absolutely not.
Who is going to be charging the rent?
Yeah,
the company that bought the property?
You have to understand, if she doesn't pay her rent, she'll be evicted. And that actually opens up a whole other can of worms right there. Okay. So what she needs to do is she needs to contact the Régie de Logement immediately.
Exactly.
She needs to, I would assume she needs to continue to pay her rent unless she agrees that there's not going to be any rent to be paid until March, plus a sum of money that needs to be given to her to compensate her for being taken out.
All right.
This is what the landlord mentioned on Thursday, that she does not have to pay anything. If she needs anything, he will pay it.
Yeah, I would still contact the Régie de Logement.
Just to be informed. Ray, I hope that helps. Good luck.
Thanks, Ray.
Perfect. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks
No
for the
problem.
call to
Be well.
CJAD. 514-790-0800. Start talking Bell Mobility. 1-800-491-CJAD. It's the Real Estate Show with me and Terry Kilakos of Northeast Mortgages, and we'll get into equity in just a couple of seconds.
The Source is the place for Black Friday deals.
Okay, guys, let's go over our Black Friday plans. I'll make a beeline for the
Kilakos, we are with TD Canada Trust. Y1, they match a rate that we can get from another institution rather than lose them. What? That doesn't make any sense. Mr. Kilakos, we are with TD Canada Trust. Why not? They match a rate that we can get from another institution rather than lose the mortgage.
Why won't they match a rate?
Why won't they match the rate that we get from another institution rather than lose the mortgage. But I'm not comfortable like this. I don't like it like that. Like, you know, I'm used to...
It's just because you cover your face with it.
How about if I put it lower like this? Then I could be like Evita.
Sure, but it's okay if I cover my face.
No,
Your face is not covered.
Okay, good point.
It could be
Maybe
like,
it ought to be.
you know, Evita. Don't cry for me.
Okay, no. Don't, please don't sing.
Did you see what happened last week? I actually broke a button without...
Yeah, I couldn't figure out what you broke, though.
It was the button from right here.
Oh, it
I
popped
pressed
out.
off and it went bloop.
Yeah. All you gotta do is slide it back in.
I was going to say something. But seeing as it's a hot mic...
David, when are we back? After this? Okay.
Okay, so it's a short break. I'll put you guys back on.
So we'll get right into equity, unless you want to answer the text.
We can answer the text. I mean, honestly, the equity portion is not very big.
Okay.
We can go into the... we have a caller also that's coming in.
Possibly.
So
would you like to read the
we have
text,
two
or do you want
callers.
me to read it and you answer it?
You can read it.
Okay.
Now, News Talk Radio CJAD 800 presents The Real Estate Show with Dan Laxer and Terry Kilakos. Brought to you by Northeast Mortgages.
Calls are coming in at 514-790-0800, but we also have texts. 514-800 is the number there. And Terry, this one says, Mr. Kilakos, we are with, can I mention the institution?
Yeah, why not?
We are with TD Canada Trust. Why won't they just match a rate that we can get from another institution rather than lose the mortgage? So in other words, they want to stay with their institution, and maybe they think they're hemming and hawing, saying we can't match that rate. So they say, okay, we're taking our mortgage elsewhere.
It depends on the time of year, and it depends on what's going on, right? In some cases, the bank will match the rate of what's being given to you from another institution, and other times it's way below their discretionary amounts. Like I had a case a couple of weeks ago. Client came in from a bank, a blue and gold one. We won't mention who it was. And they were quoted, it was for a renewal. They were quoted a ridiculous rate. I mean, it was just crazy. And the rates that are usually quoted on the renewals are not the rates that you get. You have to actually call them and say, what's the best rate you can give me?
Yeah.
They try and catch a few fish by sending those letters, but chances are you're going to get a lower rate. Anyways, so this client comes in, we sit down, we look at all the different options, and I end up quoting them a rate that was far lower than what was the rate that was even given to them at the renewal. So basically, they called, they got a rate. The rate that I was quoting them was much lower. When they called the bank and they said to the bank, we're being offered this, which I hate it when people do, because you do realize you're taking my work and you're using it as leverage with your financial institution, which is terrible practice.
Well, just to play devil's advocate, they're shopping around for the best possible.
Yeah, but but it's not. I don't know. I don't like it. I mean, it's just like someone. Imagine you have you're in a service business and someone comes to you and they get a quote from you and then they go to your competitor and then they have you guys kind of go off,
fight it out.
With a mortgage broker, it doesn't really work like that. A mortgage broker will always give you the lowest rate off the get-go. So there's not much. We don't have a benefit. The bank has a benefit to charge you a higher rate. We don't. Anyways, I went off on a tangent. So the bank basically came back to them and said, impossible. There's no way that he's able to get you that rate. Well, I got them that rate, and they switched. At the same time, I've had other people in a similar situation where they went to their bank and the bank came in 5 basis points under what I was offering them. So it really depends on the branch, it depends on the bank, and it depends on what their discretion is at that specific point in time.
Okay. So it becomes a thing where they're not really, they would like to compete with one another, but if they just can't go below a certain rate, they won't.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Hope that helps. Thanks for the text. We got another text and a couple of calls, and we'll talk a little bit about the mortgage financing triangle on the way. It's the Real Estate Show. Right now at 1:30, we'll take into the CJAD newsroom. Here's Luciano Pipia.
Thanks, Dan. Good afternoon. More than 100 patients were transferred from Notre Dame Hospital to the new CHUM Hospital today. Third and final stage of the move. Earlier transfers included patients from St. Luc and Hotel Dieu hospitals. A Minnesota woman could be the first person with Down syndrome to compete in Miss USA state pageant.
It's weird, isn't it, to be on the air but then watching yourself at the same time?
It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
And there's quite the delay.
That's okay.
So I've got the delay between the live and the live streaming, and then the delay between the live streaming and the actual.
Well, the reason why she built in a delay today is because she knows that you have that habit of taking off your clothes randomly
and swearing.
So,
like a truck driver.
But we can swear. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's on my Facebook page.
I suppose.
Right?
Oh.
They'd be like, we don't want to go to that guy. He swears.
There's a couple of shout outs you want to give to some people from your Facebook page.
Let's see.
Although there is a minor slowdown occurring on Décarie North from Plymouth down to the top. Elsewhere it's road.
Who do we got here? We got Michael Best. What's up? Yeah, it's very it's weird because it's like we're almost looking at the past whatever.
In a way,
yeah.
Like we're not, it's
like you're in a time machine.
We're stuck somewhere in the time-space continuum.
You know what? I was what? I was going to say something. It's okay.
I love when people go, I could say something, but I won't.
Have you seen
and you're like, well, what was he going to say?
Did you see the movie, was it Christmas Past? No, not Christmas Past. A Night Before Christmas or something with Seth Rogen?
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Oh my god.
Terrible.
They're basically, they're looking for an herb the whole time.
An herb.
And they meet a guy and they're like, this is the... Anyways, okay, I'm not going to get into it.
Okay. There's lots of people who are... Peter, Vicky, you and my rub, Susanna, Vito, Trevor, Tom, John, Athena, Timor, Tony, Kumar, Evangelos.
Yeah. Just, I'm going to send this out to the Facebook community. Okay? We won't announce this. So one of my mortgage brokers, his name is Kumar. He's actually pretty awesome. He's on Facebook right now. And we've been looking for a herald to join our real estate division. Okay? So if there's a herald out there that is a real estate broker that wants to join us, please give me a call on Monday, 514-680-4674. Just putting it out there. Think about the marketing behind
Must be a great place to work.
It's fun. It's fun. Yeah. Myself...
My rub's laughing a little too hard.
It's a great place.
Myself... who did I go to Niagara Falls with last week?
Kumar and Nectarius.
Yeah, Kumar and Nectarius, right? So we end up going to Niagara Falls. So we decide to go... bar and club hopping.
Yeah.
We finish our summit and we're like, you know what, we have some time off. So we end up going hopping around. If you go through all the Google reviews of all the places in Niagara Falls, you will find a picture of me, Kumar, and Nectarius over there. So it's
You know what I'm just realizing? I forgot to put money in my meter.
Do you know your
Yeah.
Your tag?
Yeah, but there's like less than half an hour left. Do I bother?
Put it. You want to put it in for him, Merle?
Of course. What do you mean?
She's got the app.
No, me too.
Oh.
So I could do it.
Michael Best just said, just say weed. Clearly he saw the movie we're talking about.
I can totally do 30 minutes.
You see?
There we go. I wonder if the credit card companies hate that.
No, they get more money.
They love it. Anything you could put on your credit card, the credit card company loves it.
I guess.
All eyes are on Canada as music superstars aim to create a breakthrough sound. Mentored by legendary music mogul Scott Borchetta.
David Simon also, he mentioned that he wants a title for the show for when he uploads it to iHeart.
Oh, a title of the show or just
of this particular episode?
Yeah.
The Real Estate Show, Episode 2.
Yes.
No, I think he wants the actual subject where you speak.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Episode 2, Equity.
News Talk Radio CJAD 800 presents The Real Estate Show with Dan Laxer and Terry Kilakos. Brought to you by Northeast Mortgages.
All kinds of people are watching us on Facebook Live, also listening to us here at CJAD 800. It's The Real Estate Show with me, Dan Laxer, in for Chantal Desjardins, and Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages and chartered mortgage broker, northeastmortgages.ca. Our phone numbers here, 514-790-0800, Star Talk on Bell Mobility, and 1-800-491-CJAD. Now, we've got some calls. We've got some texts. Since we just did a text, should we do a call?
Let's do a call.
All right.
Sounds good.
Hi there, Joe. Welcome to CJAD.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Terry. I want to ask, my son is trying to sell it's only been about a month and a half, a duplex in east part of Montreal.
Yep.
The negative part about the duplex, because it's a real nice one, is that it has a very tiny front yard and no backyard. And so far the people who have come have said that the only reason they won't bother putting a bid on it is because of that. Is there some way we could promote it? And judging by one of the other callers, I was going to ask, for people who are looking for properties that they can redevelop into bigger apartment buildings, is there such thing as a list to get these people, to find out who's looking for properties that they can redevelop?
You mean to actually look for developers and stuff like that? I mean, obviously, if you're looking for a developer, you want to, you go into the neighborhood, you see who's actually developed over there, and you can contact them. Are you using a real estate broker for the sale?
He's using somebody, but I think it's only a 3-month contract.
Okay. So, I mean, honestly, the real estate brokers, there's different types, there's good one, there's bad one, not specifically saying that he's bad or he's good. Duplexes are not hard to sell, but you need to be able to target the correct market, right? Okay. So the first thing that you want to do is obviously you want to make sure that the pictures are correct, that he posted on MLS, that all the information is good. And then from that, if you're still not getting any type of traction, you want to obviously, you can look for someone that's going to give you a second opinion. But if you want to get a developer to pick it up, the first people that I would contact the people in the area, and that way you're going to be sure to to get the right ones. The one thing I will tell you is when a developer picks up a property, don't think that they're going to come in and they're going to overpay for it. They're going to actually give you market or way below market value.
Below, yeah.
All right?
All right, thanks.
No problem.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Appreciate it. And we got a couple of texts. Wrong line. There we go.
Yeah.
Got a couple of texts here. Hi, Terry. Love your show. That's probably the most important part of the
Absolutely.
text. Hi, Terry. Love your show. You were talking about credit earlier. This texter writes, what if you've ruined your credit and you have 50% to put down on a revenue property? Will the banks give you a loan?
So obviously it's going to depend on if it's a property that's greater than 5 units or less than 5 units. Different rules will apply.
Okay.
If ruin your credit, you can still get a mortgage. Definitely if you have 50% down payment available, or if you have 50% of equity in the property, you will be able to get a mortgage, but it's not going to be at the prevailing interest rates. So don't expect to walk in and say, hey, you know what, I have terrible credit, but I have 50% equity and I want the lowest interest rate on the market. It's not going to happen.
No, because they need the institutions need to protect themselves as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're going to end up in a situation where you're going to be with a lender that's going to give you a higher interest rate, which is not a problem as long as it makes sense. I always tell people, don't be afraid of the interest rate as long as the deal makes sense. If it makes sense, do it. If it doesn't make sense, stay away from it. Right? Hopefully that answers the question. So yes,
Absolutely.
The answer is yes, he could get a mortgage.
As for the ruined credit, they can rebuild it. Yes?
Yes. Everything is rebuildable. Rebuildable? Is that a
word? Let's say it is.
Okay. I'm like Shakespeare. I invent words. Right?
Absolutely.
So everything is rebuildable, and you'll be able to fix it. It's just, again, it takes time and effort, but it could be done.
All right. Thanks for the text to 514-800. We can also go back to the calls. Hi there, Mike.
Hi, how are you? How are everybody?
Excellent.
Awesome. Welcome to CJAD.
Good. Thank you very much. I have a question.
Sure.
I have my house up for sale, and I got an offer, and when we did our offer, we realized that there is a lien on my house. Now, the lien is not mine. It's the person that owned the house before, but they still managed to put the lien when I owned the house.
What do you mean? Is it what kind of... Okay, first of all, the person that owned the house before First question, is it a family member of yours?
No.
Is it a friend?
No.
Okay, so the lien,
Stranger.
is it a construction lien or is it a Revenue Quebec lien?
Revenue
Quebec.
money,
Okay.
250 grand.
Okay, and you have no ties to the previous owner whatsoever?
Nope.
Don't worry
None.
about it. Don't worry about it. You need to contact, obviously, Revenue Quebec. You need to make them aware that the previous owner has nothing to do with this property and you bought it at arm's length. And once you've purchased a property at arm's length, you shouldn't have any issues. They'll continue to go after the previous owner. Unfortunately, what happens is Revenue Quebec and the CRA, they'll try.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
but it's not Revenue Quebec.
It's the CRA?
No, it's somebody else. It's somebody who lent him money.
Oh, that's a very different story.
Yes.
So then you need to obviously contact that person and get your information. You need to get that information because the notary that was in charge of your transaction.
Correct.
Okay, so they needed to make sure that there was no liens on that property when you picked it up. They can't go in afterwards and put a lien on a property if you haven't taken that mortgage. It's all fine. Yeah, it's all.
That's right. I did all that, and they just said, do what you got to do, continue. But what do I do? They don't want to know nothing. They said, not my problem.
Who said that? The person that put the lien?
Both. The person who put the lien, and it was a lawyer.
The person who
put... There was a lawyer involved.
Okay, so you need to contact your own lawyer. Okay,
Correct.
Get some legal advice. You can also contact the Chambre de Notaire
Okay.
to have them look into it a little bit further because that is definitely not supposed to happen.
Mhm.
Out of curiosity, do you by any chance have title insurance on your property? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
I'm assuming you used one of the big banks, or was it a virtual lender?
No, big bank.
It was
For
a big
me,
bank?
myself,
Yeah.
yes, a big bank.
It was one of the big banks. Okay, so you don't have title insurance. A lot of times, the virtual lenders by default are going to put title insurance on the property, which
I see.
protects the individuals in cases like this. But I would actually contact I would contact a lawyer and have them look into it for you. It's going to cost you, but this needs to get resolved obviously before you sell it because the notary is going to be forced to pay out that lien when the time comes.
Okay,
when you sell.
very well.
All right.
So then I pay, and then they'll pay me back, obviously.
No, don't pay.
No.
You have to resolve this before you end up selling the property. Otherwise, they're going to get their money and they're going to say, we're not paying you. We're not.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
Have
for
a
the
nice
call,
day,
Mike.
guys. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
I hope I wasn't hearing incorrectly, but it sounds like these guys, the previous owner and whoever had lent him money, something's not kosher there.
It doesn't sound right to me. Absolutely not. You can't. I mean, you know, for construction liens, for Revenue Quebec, CRA, they can obviously put liens on your property when you owe taxes, when you there's something like that going on. But for someone to come and put a lien on your house from a previous owner, because of a previous owner, not supposed to happen.
No, wouldn't that have been red flagged when the previous owner sold the property?
Yes, absolutely, and that's why the Chambre de Notaire needs to look into this as well, see what's going on there.
Interesting stuff. The Real Estate Show on CJAD. I'm Dan Laxer. That's Terry Kilakos of Northeast Mortgage. It's hard to say.
Seriously.
Who came up with that name? Northeast Mortgages.
That was my wife. No, I'm just kidding.
We can take more of your calls at 514-790-0800, Star Talk on Bell Mobility and your cell. You can text 514-800, and we are also broadcasting live, Facebook Live, and you can log some of your questions there. We'll get into some more text in a couple of moments and some calls, and we'll find out what our Facebook viewers have to say. Terry Kilakos from Northeast Mortgages. My name is Dan Laxer. It's the Real Estate Show. Right now, let's take in to check the roads at the CJAD 800 Traffic Center. There's Kira Yeager.
There was a short-lived collision on the Metropolitan westbound in the left-hand lane at Costa.
We have two callers and a bunch of texts, so we're not talking about down payment today or equity. We're going to push that to next week.
Yeah.
So.
But
Maybe we
now,
could talk
one
about
guy has
that.
it says rent increase. Do we? I don't know if that's something.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what this is? This is like fighting back with Terry
exactly.
Kilakos.
You know what really grinds my gears? Did you ever see that Family Guy episode?
No.
Where was it Family Guy?
Family
it was
Guy.
Family Guy.
But I bet you my son
the
has
guy
it.
that with the two, yeah. So Family Guy.
Oh, the old guy?
No, not
Peter.
the,
Peter
yeah,
Griffin.
Peter Griffin.
Oh,
He
Pete.
had a,
You know what
he had
really grinds my gears?
Yeah, he had his own show. There you go. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a
Fighting Back with Terry Kilakos and Peter Griffin.
But what is the process to put a lien on a property? It's a whole process. How did that person do that?
There's something up with it.
Yeah.
There's something up with it.
Like it sounds to me, whoever lent the previous owner money, and what we didn't get from him was it a legitimate private institution, or was it some
But
guy?
it's a whole process to get a judgment to be able to put a lien on somebody's property. How did they do that? Unless they had gone through the whole process and literally.
Well, that's why I was asking the question if the transaction was at arm's length, right?
Yeah.
Because if the transaction is not at arm's length, you end up having like a whole slew of issues that could occur. So let's say, you're my brother, right? And you have a property that you want to sell and there's capital gains on it. And you sell it to me, I give you the money, and you don't pay the capital gains on that property. Because we're brothers and the transaction is not at arm's length, Revenue Quebec or the CRA can actually come in and put a lien on the property because it wasn't an arm's length transaction.
Yeah.
Right? And they can come after me and say, well, you had a benefit from this. Right? So that's, but if it is at arm's length, then they can't actually do that.
Yeah.
They would have to prove there's some sort of collusion or something.
Which makes sense to me. I mean, it's not this guy's fault. He wants to sell his house. And like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's cases where there's contractors and builders who have put liens.
Yeah. So, Marav is not agreeing with this. I'm going to see what you think. So I have you ever saw Ted? You know the movie
with the bear?
With the bear?
No, my son has. He loves that. I've never. Go on.
So I have a Ted onesie.
Yeah, it's as funny as it's...
Okay, listen, people. Listen, okay? So I have a Ted onesie. Okay? It's PJs, but they're full. They're fuzzy. I got the hood that goes on. And actually on the side over here, it actually says Thunder Buddies for Life. So, when we have 1,000 viewers watching the show, I will do the show in my Ted onesie.
See,
what do you think?
I was all
What
set.
do you think, Facebook world?
As soon as you said you have a Ted onesie, my instinct was to say, whatever it is, the answer is no. But how many viewers are you up to now?
We are at like 20 some odd viewers.
It's 1,000.
1,000. Come on. You get to see Terry in a Ted onesie. Just saying. Could be interesting.
Sure.
Now, News Talk Radio CJAD 800 presents The Real Estate Show with Dan Laxer and Terry Kilakos. Brought to you by Northeast Mortgages.
NortheastMortgages.ca is the website. Terry Kilakos is president of Northeast Mortgages and a chartered mortgage broker. Before we go any further, do you want to let people know how they can reach you after the show?
Yeah, so you can obviously call us at the office, 514-680-4674, or visit us online, northeastmortgages.ca. I almost forgot our address. Or online via Facebook, facebook.com/northeastmortgages.
Okay, fantastic. And of course, you can reach us here for the remaining 11 or 10 and a half minutes, 514-790-0800. And you can text us as well to 514-800. Why don't we go right to the calls? Hi there, Eduardo.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Kilakos, for taking my call.
Of course.
A lot of people appreciate you. Well, we all appreciate your show.
Thank you so much.
I have
Eduardo.
a quick question, and it's not to do with loans or anything. In the first place, I'm battling cancer. I've been 15 years in the same apartment in the plateau. Now they have repaired the building outside, replaced the bricks, and done a tremendous job.
Yes.
Are they allowed to increase the rent for $30, $40, or $50? That's what they've been talking about.
Okay, so when there's a major increase, so obviously there's the regular increases that you do on an annual basis, and then there can be special increases. But there's a whole calculation that goes behind that. The Régie de Logement, talking about them again, there is a formula that's used where they basically look at previous years' rents, the current year, not rent, sorry, taxes, expenses of the building, plus any maintenance that's done to the building, as well as maintenance that's done to your unit. If there's a certain, if there's a good amount that's done, the calculation could potentially increase the rents $30, $40, $50. But when a landlord is increasing by that much, you need to basically give them a call and say, I need to see your calculations. I need to see that rental worksheet that you used to increase it. Otherwise, what you can do again is you contact the Régie de Logement, you tell them, listen, my rent was just increased by $40 to $50, and the landlord is going to have to prove to the Régie de Logement that that increase was justified. So it has to be justified. Let's not forget, people, we live in Quebec. Quebec is governed by the Civil Code. The Civil Code, the whole ethos behind it is consumer protection, and that's why we have organizations like the Régie de Logement. And I'm talking to you now as a landlord, by the way, Eduardo, okay? So
in other words, if they increase me by, let's say, 40, 50, I go to the Régie because, like I said to you, Mr. Kilakos, I've been here 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
They've done nothing in the apartment. In my buy or contract, it says, because I've been here with two different owners. One sold to this guy now that is the new owner.
Yeah.
And it's written in there, salle de bain à être réparé.
Yeah, you've done repairs yourself too.
Never repaired nothing.
Yeah, I would contact the Régie de Logement and ask them to provide you with the actual calculation worksheet, and if it comes out that they have the right to increase it, they have the right to increase it. But chances are $40 to $50. I would strongly suspect that that seems a little bit excessive to me. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Eduardo.
Good luck, Eduardo.
Very much. Have a nice weekend, sir.
You as well.
Thank you so much for the call. Now we go right back to the texts. This one is about rates.
Mm-hmm.
I have a renewal in February. What is the best 3-year rate out there right now? Should I lock in now or wait till February? Do you suspect rates will go up in the next 3 months?
Do both. So when a client comes to see us, so if you call your bank right now and you say, I want you to renew me, you're basically going to be at their mercy. Okay, so she's asking, do we, or he, not sure.
We don't know.
They're asking for an early renewal, right? So an early renewal, it might actually be worth it for them to wait. What I usually do in a case like this, I will get their mortgage approved. The mortgages are usually good for 90 to 120 days, the rate holds. And then we watch the market and we see what happens in December, we see what happens in January, we see what happens in February. If rates go down, they end up getting the lower rate. If rates go up, they end up with the rate that was secured for them. Banks don't like to do that.
Yeah.
Because banks are special. And so by all means, give us a call and I'll be happy to sit down with you. And in terms of what the rates are, it really depends on if the mortgage is insured, if it's insurable, if it's just a switch, if they're taking money out. There's a whole slew of questions that need to be asked right now. It could be as low as in the high 2s, depending on the institution that we go with, or it can be in the low 3s, right? But chances are if... they'd probably end up in the high 2s somewhere.
Which is awesome. See, that's what we do here. We set your mind at ease. And if we can help you do that, 514-790-0800, or you can text us to 514-800. It's the Real Estate Show on CJAD. I'm Dan Laxer. That's Terry Kilakos. Back in a sec.
Hello, everybody. Robin here for Pridham's Auction House.
I know. 0, right? And we have a whole slew of stuff to get to. But
we have like 2 minutes to get to it.
Well, it's like, you have to have like an emblem on your chest and a cape of some kind.
I do.
Because people are calling in, they're asking questions, and you're going, don't worry, I'll handle this. Right? I can't see, the computer screen's in the way.
Intergalactic.
Beastie Boys, there you go. Yeah. I'll handle this, ma'am. It's sir. Sorry, sir.
Here's another one.
We didn't tell them to put a lien on the building. We just said lien against the building.
We three kids are alone, but when they will buy us.
For the security of fixed payments. Let's call Terry Kilakos. I'm Terry Kilakos.
The sponsor will be able to declare expenses, or he can only declare when he is officially the owner, and then do the required stamping privately. Good day, Terry and Dan. Please, after you do.
You got that last Facebook?
No, I'm listening to him read the text, but I think he's read it 3 times. It's convoluted.
You see, you know what I just got? Michael Best just sent me a picture of Thunder Buddies for life. Okay? He said, I tried to crop your face on him, but I left my iPad at my sister's.
And who is this Michael Best?
Look at this. There you go.
She's ignoring you.
No, she just flipped the camera. You see the little red light on top? See?
Yeah. What does that mean?
It's where the camera's pointing.
That is just so cool.
It really is.
Shopping. When it's fun at Littricit's Opticians. I go there, try on the cool looks of Maui Jim. I'm on the beach already. Sporty look from Adidas, Nike. I'm game ready. Trust the
Here, we'll actually, I'll see if I can post this.
For the best it can be. Littricit's Opticians, Décarie and Isabella.
Will it work? Yes?
Huh?
No.
Will we have time for that last text?
Are you talking to me or are you talking to David Simon?
Talking to you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how many minutes are left before you're back on the air?
I don't know. We'll find out soon enough.
Don't you have a countdown in front of you?
Well, he's got the countdown in front of him. David Simon, I mean.
How
Radio
come you guys
Secrets.
say his first and last name all the time?
As opposed to just David?
Yeah.
Or Simon?
Because anyone that has 2 first names, you have to say them both together.
Like, I can't say it's the Real Estate Show with Kilakos.
Yeah.
Or Terry. Because Terry who? Well, Kilakos. Are you saying that right? No, it's Kilakos. But, hang on. Oh.
Now, News Talk Radio CJAD 800 presents The Real Estate Show with Dan Laxer and Terry Kilakos. Brought to you by Northeast Mortgages.
NortheastMortgages.ca. The challenge, Terry, with the 2 minutes we have left is, can we squeeze in that last text?
I think we can.
The long one or the short one?
Let's go with the short one.
Okay. 3 years into a mortgage, never missed a payment. My working part-time, fell behind on her CC credit card. Now in collections. I'm making our payments, but a little behind. Is refinancing worth looking as to help get back on track?
Yes. Question answered.
Yeah, but it's funny. That's exactly what people are concerned about. Are things like, well, I don't know, I'm behind on the payments. The credit's down. Is can I still buy? Can I still refinance?
Yeah. Yes.
The short answer is yes.
Yes. Always, definitely. If you're able to get rid of a high interest credit card and roll it into something that's at a much lower rate, the answer is yes.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
I remember you and I talked about that once before.
Yes, we
did.
The
idea of, all right.
Yeah.
So,
we did not talk about what we were supposed to be talking
about.
No,
we were going to talk about equity because we started, you and Chantal started to talk about the triangle.
Yeah.
Credit last week. So next week.
Next week, we'll talk about equity.
Equity.
And then the following week, we'll talk about income.
Okay. Or at least that's the plan.
Exactly.
That's what we'll try.
Yeah.
Terry Kilakos, we are out of real estate. So to reach you during the week.
So 514-680-4674 or northeastmortgages.ca. You'll be able to message us through there. And that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you're not listening to the show right now, in which case you're not hearing me say this, you will upload the video?
Yeah, absolutely. So the video will be uploaded onto our media section, or again, you can see it on our Facebook page.
Okay, fantastic. Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages, charter mortgage broker. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, Dan.
We're back together next week.
Yes, we are.
Along with Mayrav Marciano. Thank you very much for being there. David Simon at Real Estate Control. Stay tuned for the 2 o'clock news. Have a great afternoon.
You're listening to the Voice of Montreal. News Talk Radio, CJAD 800, an iHeart radio station.